The Technology Executives Review. It's our regular show, and we cover AI in the enterprise, advanced tech, and industry news. It's your way of just catching up with things every couple of weeks. And I got with me our guest analyst. Welcome, Tom Drez, former CIO of Christian Brothers, also governor of state of Alliance of Illinois. So he runs a great golf outing every year, involved in a lot of charities and helps us out. And so we love having you, Tom. So thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Thanks so much for the invite.
Yeah, it's great. And everybody, yeah, we're not, Tim said chat is closed, but we're just using the Q&A on that. Maybe I'll try that for next time, Tim, but thanks for letting us know about that. So anyways, in addition to the news, we're going to go over some highlights from some videos from Jeff, Briff, Tim, Josh, and Richard. And that's going to be great. So let's get moving on that. And again, this is brought to you by myself and our company, the Technology Executives Club. And we are the digital media network and thought leadership community for technology leaders and tech business leaders. We've got a little of both in the audience today, Tom, so that's great. And what we cover is AI and advanced technologies, technology leadership, and of course, industry news, because it affects all of us. And it's interesting. Why not, right? It's interesting. Many of you may know us from the event business from a few years ago. We now are a digital media network, like I said, and community. And we have over 1 million views annually and growing. So really cool stuff. In fact, Tom, I was looking at our website stats yesterday. 53 something in the last 30 days. 53,000, not 53, 53,000 on the website. So we're getting a lot of traffic. Awesome. So everybody here, thanks for being part of our community. Everybody here is important. We appreciate you. And if you just by being on the webinar, we'll put you in the newsletter. Be sure and take a look at our site. And there's links to the podcast. If you prefer the podcast, we're on both Apple and Spotify, and you can watch all of our videos, etc. And if you're interested, learn how you can be featured on our network. And we have something called a complimentary spotlight interview experience. And so reach out to me if you're interested in that. And technology, that's for everybody. And technology leaders, we have something called a virtual peer advisory program. And you can learn how you can collaborate with your peers. It's all over the country, actually all over the world, Tom. And we're different countries now. And collaborate with your peers. And it's a great way. We don't record the most sensitive stuff. We don't record, right, Tom? I told you about that the other day.
And you did?
Yeah, well, it's important because people, especially for somebody, if you're out there, you're watching this, whether it's recording or you're on the show, and you're out there and you say, God, I'd love to go to those meetings downtown, but I just don't have the time, or I can't go, or, maybe you're too far, to go to some of these great meetings. Like I know we got Tim who's involved in SIM. SIM's a great organization, AITP, all these great organizations, but with our niche, some of the people are in both, but our niche is for people who just can't make it, right? And just can't get there, and they want to be able to collaborate. And it's important. So reach out for me if you're interested in any of that. So let's get into the show. How's that sound, Tom?
Awesome. Let's go.
So again, this is Alex Jarett with Technology Executives Club and my guest host, Tom Drez, who's former CIO, CISO, CPO. A lot of acronyms there, man. You've done it all. So from Christian Brothers Services. So Tom, again, welcome. Appreciate having you. Great. So here's what we're going to cover, Tom, and everybody. We're going to cover 3 things. 1, the biggest headlines that shaped the AI and the enterprise and advanced technology landscape this past few weeks. Like last time we covered SpaceX, their big IPO. I can't be any cooler than that, right? I mean, come on, they're gonna put spaceships out there and put data centers in space. Come on, how cool is that? So we get to talk about that stuff. Special tech leadership segment, and Tom and I came up with this together. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. The enterprise IT spend crisis, balancing shadow AI token spend with hard ROI gains. All you technology leaders know exactly what we're talking about, right, Tom? So the pressure's on now. Last year or so, it's been AI. Now it's like, hey, what's the ROI on that? So then just industry news. So let's get moving. Before we get started, I want to feature this. This is one of our special reports. This is new for us to do these special reports, Tom. The last couple of webinars, it just kind of evolved. It's kind of fun. It's actually quite fun, but it's very interesting. This is a special report we had Jeff Sheets. You've met Jeff online before, right? Yeah. Jeff Sheets, the CIO of City of Avondale, which is one of the big cities in the whole Phoenix area,
He
everybody.
just won an award, I believe, for the
Yeah,
city.
that's right. He just won an award for a city, award-winning CIO.
Congratulations to them.
Yep. Congratulations to Jeff and his team. He always talks about his team. Starts off number one, at first word out of his mouth. It's the
Hmm.
team. So let's go to hear a little from Jeff. And of course, I had everything all set up. And now I don't. How about that? So let me do this. Where did all that go? I have to do this, everybody. Bear with me. This is behind the scenes here at Technology Executives Club. Had everything set up and somehow I closed it. All right. So the way, if you go to our site, Technology Executives Club, and you scroll down, all the newest videos are here. We got a lot of categories of different kinds of videos. And let me find the one that is with Jeff right here. I scroll right by it. It was the number one thing right there. So this is going to be at 7:16. And confirm you can hear this, would you? State and local governments petition Senate up
Yes.
300 million in urgently needed cyber grant funding. Well, we're
Right.
talking about that.
Yep.
Arizona, oh, you know about this probably. Arizona adjourned session after successfully passing trio of comprehensive municipal AI governance bills. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Maryland appoints former federal artificial intelligence leader as first state level chief AI officer. That's really cool.
Yep.
We should lobby for you to become the Arizona State AI officer. He'd be
Hey,
great.
I'll be all for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to wear a badge and everything. It looks flash. That'd be super cool. Governor Phil Scott officially signs historic public therapy chatbot ban into wow. That that's very interesting. Okay, see how long that law holds. I mean, who is not using this for therapy already? Which one do you want to cover?
Well, I think touching on the one in Arizona, I think several states have done something very similar, right, to this, and a lot of states are jumping on board and trying to put some AI guidelines, guardrails, policies, whatever you want to call it, in place at the state level. And this is something that several municipalities have been involved in, and other organizations in Arizona working directly with the state to help craft these. But again, the focus on these bills, at least in our area, is to make sure that there's that human side of this human stays in the loop. We don't just have an AI make these random decisions and hope it all works out in the end. Yeah.
I think he's nailed it right there. Human in the loop is so key, especially when you're talking about any kind of system that's interacting with people, making decisions, interacting with people. There's got to be
especially at this early in the game. I mean, there really is no book of best practices for AI in the enterprise yet. So we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah, remember the 3 robotic rules? Guess what? Those aren't real. It was science fiction. This is real life here, right? I think everybody like us thinks, oh, the 3 robot rules. No, they're not really embedded into anything, So, anyways, go ahead.
Everybody's just trying to take advantage of the technology. They're not always thinking about everything that's going on behind the scenes, whether that's right. Prudent business practices to compliance.
Anything. Yeah. So he's got a good answer for that. And let's just hear if he's got anything else to say. I just wanted to highlight that. It's a good discussion, and we'll move on.
So that's, I think, and that's important. I mean, I've talked about that many times.
Well, that's something that you're. Okay. So Jeff is great. I just wanted to highlight him. If you get a chance, see that. Let's get back to the slides. If you get a chance, watch that. It's a special show specifically on, can you see that now, Tom?
Yeah.
It's a special show specifically for state and local government, what's happening with AI and all this. It's very interesting. And we've got a series that we're starting to record. He's got one on governance through people-centered governance. Isn't that a great theme? People-centered governance. Sure. And then the other one, he's doing a series of videos with us about how state and local governments are actually using use cases of AI, which I think is super cool. So anyways, that's now streaming. So let's get into some headlines here. These are the top headlines, and the category is AI in the enterprise and advanced technology landscape. So that's the category. I'll just read them real quick and want you to pick one that you're interested in. We'll talk about it. How's that sound? Everybody in the Q&A is welcome to use Q&A too if you got one you really want us to talk about. Okay, I'll just read them. The great model price war erupts SpaceX, OpenAI, Meta fire flagship releases within 24 hours. That's really interesting. Anybody that's interested in big James Bond type of themes, there it is. It's happening. Okay, right? Number two, Intel, if you know what I'm saying, they're building something big,
Mhm.
folks. Intel and Google Cloud expand alliance to scale internal agentic workflows globally. Again, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Three, identity management exposed as critical security vulnerability in agentic AI architecture. That's comforting. Okay,
That's
right?
also big.
Yeah, these are all pretty big. Number four, NVIDIA Cosmos 3 Edge launched to
Mhm.
power on-device vision reasoning and physical AI. These are all huge. All right,
Yes.
you get to pick one.
All right. All right. There's enough content here for 2 days.
Yeah.
Let's go with number one
Okay.
number one for 100, please, Alex.
Yeah, it does feel a little like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, good choice. What that
Price.
means,
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
the great model price for erupts. Don't get me laughing. I won't get
Yeah.
there. Well, yeah, it's okay. Actually, it'll be fun. The great model price for erupts at a fire flagship releases within 24 hours.
Mhm.
Here's what that means. This isn't about minor benchmark updates anymore. It's a pure economic squeeze. With Grok 4.5, Chat 5.6, and Meta's Muse Spark 1.1 hitting the market simultaneously, enterprise inference costs are dropping to historic lows. IT leaders need to immediately audit their third-party vendor pricing because legacy inference rates are suddenly obsolete. That sounds important. Why don't you give me your insights on that one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a number of number of topics that this number one can trigger. First
Yeah,
is, if you guys were reading the Wall Street Journal yesterday, there was an article on part of this very topic. And I think because corporations are being squeezed because they've taken the reins off of their employees and let them use as many tokens as they want to use, most organizations may have already gone through their planned budget for the entire year, and we're only halfway through the year. So, the companies have to figure out how to put limits on what employees are spending. But at the same time, that Wall Street Journal article mentions that a lot of companies are looking for cheaper, more cost effective alternatives. And I think it even said 43 to 46% of companies are now using open source AI models that are much more cost effective. So
interesting.
that is very interesting. Now, it didn't say exactly which open source models or if we happen to be, with the AI and our usage in this country, if we're pushing companies to Chinese models. It didn't really say, but we do know that some of the Chinese models, like what DeepSeek came on early, while they're not going to be as good with all the bells and whistles as our leading, OpenAI and the others, the bang for the buck is there with the open source models and
That's really
other
interesting.
models. So I think again, there's another part of this too. If you're,
Yeah,
OpenAI or Anthropic or the guys that are really leading the charge for us in this, remember, this is all they do right now. And they're
yeah,
all trying to scramble to get their IPOs and pull money out of the market
yeah,
and have money so that they can continue to invest. But I think what we're also seeing, and it's probably in these points here somewhere as well,
yeah.
is now our big guys are looking to diversify and have additional revenue streams, because if companies now start to put limits on how much their employees could spend, the big guys are going to bring in less revenue. So that's why we're starting to see, we talk about OpenAI moving into
Yeah.
hardware devices and other things. So there's all these things that we've already mentioned that are all connected.
Well, you've
And if
hit
you're a
the,
CIO today, you're trying to figure out how to navigate this and how much of it can you navigate or mitigate all at one time.
I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. It's a really complex ecosystem that's happening. We're watching it being built real time. And
Yes.
it's really, reminds us all of the internet and things like that. There's a bubble. We all see it. Everybody who's been around sees a big bubble. There's going to be a point where they can't raise more money to stop the spend to keep paying for that spending. They have to deliver a P&L. And
They have investors.
yeah, they have investors. They got to deliver a P&L. And at some point, the investors are going to say, enough, right? And then what? So it's coming. Now, on the other side, which we'll talk about in our special report, like you say, CIOs, CTOs, whatever role you are, where you have spend that's being used by AI, everybody's getting addicted to this stuff and using it. And we'll talk about that in the next segment. But it's going to come to a head. It's going to come to a head. It's all cool and fun to watch, but it's going to come to a
like
head.
an earthquake, that the plates on the earth are already starting to move, and that
Yeah.
the tension, the friction is going to build up until there's an explosion.
Yeah.
But it's happening. We're seeing it in real time.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2.5 years down the road only, and organizations are still figuring this out. Certainly, everybody has figured out little pockets and how they can help their employees to be more productive, and as well as the software that they buy, those vendors are figuring out how to add features, AI features, to help companies be more productive and efficient. And then you've also got the third wheel of the AI wheel.
Yeah.
Third spoke of the AI wheel is companies that build their own software. They're trying to figure out how to best pick and choose AI projects to get great returns. Yeah. Most of them probably aren't getting returns, but we know there's pockets of them. Some people on this call have successfully created AI projects that are showing returns.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, we're going to highlight him in a minute. All right. Those are the top headlines there. Let's go into this one. I'm going to show you another highlight here. This was from another segment. What are technology? This will tie in with what you're talking about, with your comments. What are technology leaders really concerned about? That was last month. We had a special report, and that was our technology leader segment, special report segment. And Biff Meyer, who's head of industry solutions, a number of you in the Chicago area, Midwest area know Biff. He's a great guy. And pretty smart guy, and he deals with a lot of big companies and the organization. So let me get to his video. Let's drop out of here, and I'm going to get to his video. There's Biff, and I think I said 51 seconds. I'm just going to show a short little segment from here. Right here. Here we go. You ready? Examples that you all have been doing with your executive clients. And so let's go through some of these. The first batch. Now, these are what I promised you when we marketed the event. This was only 2 weeks ago. The summit that we recently had, we had everybody write a note. What's their burning question? And we had them talk about it. And what's really interesting is what we heard from some of the executives is, number one, adoption. The majority of employees are not adopting AI. And what's really, it blew us all away in the room, because all of us are in this bubble, Biff, right? Where we think, oh my God, everyone we talk about is using it, our friends use it. But guess what? At these companies, and these were mid-sized and large companies, the employees are not all buying into this, right?
Exactly. No, exactly. You've got all kinds of different fronts. I mean, one is just, how do I even get started, right? And is the company enabling that? The other is, okay, they've told me that if I use this, then I'm going to be able to automate most of my job or half my job. And there's a quick backlash to that. And it's nothing different than we haven't seen with the cloud or managed services or digital transformation, and how you go about solving that, right?
Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see your video.
Where'd it go?
Yeah, it was there and it went away, but
you can hear me though.
I can hear you.
I didn't touch anything. All right, I'm looking. Stand by.
Does anybody else see? There you are. That whatever it was. Okay. Hey,
thanks.
So I wanted to just highlight that little segment again.
Yep.
This was you were there. This was a surprise to us, because everybody that's probably on this call, this show, we're in a bubble. All of us we're talking to each other. Which version are you using? Hey, I'm using Claude. For this, I'm using. You get what I'm saying? Have you done vibe coding? Things like that. But the average employee is not in this bubble, folks. Right? They're worried about their day-to-day job, and they're doing their work, and they're going to take care of their kids and all the other stuff that everybody does. Any quick comments on that?
Yeah, there's a number of things that are going on with the employees.
Yeah.
And here is actually, like you said, I'm a retired CIO, CSO, CPO. One of the nice things about being retired, other than every day is Saturday, I actually have more time to attend the tech events and sim events and
Yeah.
other events. I spend more time talking to people, seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
I've attended more industry events in the last 2.5 years than I had the time to do while working. So
That's great.
I like that. I've learned so much in just the last 2.5 years than maybe I did in the 5 prior years. Who knows? But by talking to everybody, you could see every company's trying different things with their employees. Just to stay on this one particular topic,
Yeah.
we know there's that component that AI should be taught to employees as a personal productivity tool, like they learn Word, Excel, PowerPoint,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Even when employees come into a workforce, into a company, having some experience with any of these tools, you're always going to learn new things about those tools as you start to use them and get used to a particular company usage of them. So some companies, when it comes to AI, they were incenting their employees to use up their tokens, use tokens. They did before they even had limits. And like you said, there's a variety of reasons that employees don't care. One is they don't want to help a company and their agents learn their job so that they could riff them down the road.
That's what I was getting to. Yeah.
And
yeah.
two is even with Microsoft Office, employees don't use every feature of Microsoft Office. They haven't found how to use AI yet. It could be a lack of training within an organization. But if companies are not only are incenting them to use it, but also penalizing them through their performance appraisals if they're not. So some employees are just, from what I hear, mindlessly, wastefully using tokens just so that the automated tools see that they're using tokens. Whether or not they produced anything real or valuable from it, they wasted the tokens.
Right, they're making super cool videos for Facebook.
Just doing anything because the companies have these reporting tools that show
I didn't know
they're using their tokens. Yeah,
that's news.
So that's even worse because now you have resources, scarce resources, expensive, scarce resources that are being wasted. So again, where companies are just figuring out how to do this. And I don't know that every company teaches AI usage from a personal productivity standpoint yet, like companies used to teach Office. That's just an easy example. I go back.
That's a great, thank you. That number one, that's a great example because for many of the applications, that's exactly what people will start using it because you can't understand the deeper concepts and you don't even understand what agentic AI is if you have no interaction with AI. You won't understand it. So I think
in any company, you've got employees at different levels, right? You do have your end users, and as you go up through supervisors and leaderships and team leads and managers and directors, they all have a different need for using AI. Your managers or supervisors and above will learn about AI and agents, but everybody below that, they may not. They just need to know how to use some agents, maybe that the company makes. But everybody needs to know these delineations. And I don't really see anybody talking about that. At least nobody wants to talk about it yet. It's maybe they consider that to be a competitive advantage at this point, which it would be in my
it might be. So here's the thing I wanted to get out of that, and then we'll keep moving on because we're going to keep going. But change management, you know this, it is still about the people. Change management. You can't ignore change management. And this is one of the biggest shifts that these people are going through. You've got to do all the things that you did with PCs and with all the other major shifts, the internet. You got to have the group meetings. You got to teach them how to do stuff. You got to be together, let them be. You got to understand that the people that actually use this are more in demand, but they have a valid concern. They say, why would I want to teach that AI how to do my thing? If I got 20 more years here, I may only have 5 years here. So you got to have a real answer for that because that's actually a really valid concern. So
change management is a prudent business practice. And because this AI is started with the consumers, and bubble it up, this is not something that starts in a company, has started top down generally. That's very controlled, right?
Right.
Because every employee has something to say, but it's like the early days of CRM. When you say that term to somebody, it means something different to everybody. You can't just say AI without qualifying it and setting the playing field so that you can have a productive conversation. So it's the same thing. It's still the Wild West. And to make matters worse, the companies that are not trying to tame this Wild West, they're wasting resource dollars, right?
Which we'll
Wasting
get to.
tokens.
Yeah.
And just not being efficient and productive.
All right, okay, good insights. Let's get through this and then we'll get to the special report. So let me read the next four. Meta's structural shift. This is interesting. The end of open weight dominance with Muse Spark 1.1 release. NTT, that came from VentureBeat. So that kind of tells you that's a good resource, tells you what these companies are thinking if you start reading that kind of trades. NTT Data named a market sharper in Gartner's inaugural physical AI services evaluation. That's interesting. Okay. Anthropic resets Claude rate limits to compete against aggressive low-cost competitors. Interesting.
There you go.
That's
what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it is what we're talking about. Yeah. The convergence to agentic workflows, multi-step tool calling architectures start to take over. Which one you want to hit?
Let's talk about number 8.
Okay. The convergence to agentic workflows. Let me read this for everybody.
Yep.
Multi-step tool calling architectures take over. I love that phrasing. What this means, that's very comforting here when AI is taking over. Models are no longer built to just answer standard questions. The entire enterprise software layer is re-architecting around systems that can autonomously call tools, write code, fetch data, forcing companies to rebuild their data pipelines to support real-time intelligence. So quick answer here, and then we'll get to the special report.
All right. Now, this is giant. Everybody knows this has an impact on the individual employee trying to use AI to be more productive. And a simple thing might be your company uses Microsoft Outlook or O365 for email.
Yeah.
And now you got an employee that's using a third-party tool, and they've just given that tool access to their office environment. That's scary right off the bat. Now, sure, the employee's thinking, "Oh, great, I'm doing something fabulous here. I'm trying to get more efficient and productive, but I've just given, without maybe realizing it, a third-party AI tool complete access to my, O365 environment." And we've all seen the horror stories on what agents gone wrong can do, from erasing all of your email to worse. So that's interesting, and there's so many complexities and moving parts in this. Again, employees need to be aware of that. Then move that up the chain. Now the company's creating the agents. This is a cybersecurity issue and a compliance issue in so many different industries, depending on the industries that you're in. I agree. This is where the value is going to be. This is where the rubber meets the road. But it's just not something you make with a well-worded prompt.
I feel like a lot of people are, let's build, they get the money for it. Let's do it. But these guardrails aren't here yet. So if you're this technology leader, you have got to make sure you're investing in guardrails and exit to the human and monitoring and thinking about this. So with that, what I want to do is, there's a question that came in a few minutes ago from Pat. I don't know if you're looking at the Q&A. I am. But it's tied into this. Quick answer on this one. What are your thoughts on security and data security for companies using open source? Tangential question, right? Likewise, open source models probably use your data to train their own model versus a private LLM kernel. So thoughts?
Well, we've already talked about open source being more cost effective and efficient tools to use from that perspective. I will say, when I was a CIO, I did not use much open source. I did not, simply because it takes more time to review, ensure. It just adds more complexity. So when you're looking at compliance, you're talking about reading SOC reports and all that other kinds of things. Now, with that said, that's how we all learned how to trust each other, through SOC reports, ISO reports, or equivalents. So I think I would start there. As long as all the tools have those types of compliance documents that you can pour over when you need to pour over them, that gives you the means to trust. I mean, before we had SOC reports and ISO reports, business was slow because we all had to negotiate everything with every vendor. So these days,
that's a really deep insight. Yeah,
I would be more apt to use the open source, assuming they can provide their, SOC reports or ISO reports or equivalents.
Very interesting. That's a really good insight. So if you use it, even on regular stuff that I'm paying for, I mean, I'm really careful of checking those stats. But even though I check them and everything else, I know there's something that's sliding through. There's no way around it. So that's my point of view. But if you're running a big company, you can't have that point of view. So I'm erring on speed. Even for my own stuff. All right. Great intro. Now we're going to get to a special segment. And folks, what I do here is I'm going to introduce the segment as if it's its own show. And because what we do is we record this whole thing as part of the show. You're all on it. So it is like being on a game show. And what we're going to do is record the special segment within the show. So I'll do an intro and exit. When I exit out of it, don't leave because that's not exiting the entire webinar. Okay. So for now, I want to introduce, hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with Technology Executives Club and another Technology Executives Review special report. Now, this one is called the Enterprise IT Spend Crisis, Balancing Shadow AI Token Spend with Hard ROI, it's hard to say, with Hard ROI Gains. And my special guest is Tom Drez. He's our guest analyst, co-host here today, former CIO, CPO, CISO of Christian Brothers Services. Tom, how you doing?
Very good. Thanks for the invitation.
Great to have you here. Let's get right into it. So what we're going to do is, this is a special report. We've taken segments from the news that is especially about this issue. And you and I have already talked about this before. It's about the enterprise IT spend crisis for the last, I think, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. Every board member is coming to the technology leaders and saying, what are we doing about AI? What are we doing about AI? What are we doing? And people are started their projects. We heard about failures. And now we've got this looming issue that's going to be a crisis for some people, I guarantee you, which is token spend. And I think people more and more I'm hearing from our leadership are saying, where's the ROI? First of all, do you agree with this topic?
Yes. That this is an important topic? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any
absolutely.
thoughts on that? Any thoughts real quick?
I mean, this is money now, right? So as a CIO, we're all about business and technology and doing everything that we can to advance the company's goals within our framework, right? So budgets are very important. And all it takes is one item in the IT budget every year that can throw everything out of whack. And I think what we're seeing and hearing about in 2026 so far is that token spend in organizations has become the Wild West, and it is out of control to the point where companies maybe thought their employees would never use all those tokens, but many of them are and going way beyond. So they're setting limits. One, I think it might have even been Elon Musk. Now just came out a couple of weeks ago and said $200 per week. That's it. That's pretty big. I mean, he's got more money than most. So that's a good spend. I don't know that all the rest of us could afford $200 per employee per week.
That's a great extra headline. I remember seeing that. Didn't make our top one, but it's pretty interesting for sure. All right. And I'm pretty sure he wants to keep what he's got too. So
I would think so.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. All right, let's read the headlines and we'll get into it. So, number one, enterprise software disruption. The Starbucks precedent signals shift to custom AI infrastructure. That's interesting. The activity trap. This is what I've heard about from our group. Only 6% of companies using AI report clear financial gains or returns. Global AI spend surges 47% to 2.59 trillion, and that's with low pricing as inflection year hits enterprise IT budgets. That's from Gartner. The productivity mirage. I love that headline. 95% of AI initiatives fail to produce measurable results in first 6 months. Again, MIT, continuing to report. Which one do you want to cover?
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. They're all in this particular topic, Alex.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to companies are trying to find the right way to employees to use AI in a responsible manner that will achieve results. You can compare this back to, I don't know, any other software tool any company has acquired over the years. I don't care if it was the first time we deployed Excel spreadsheets or Lotus
Yeah, I remember
123.
that.
Employees were not productive and efficient moving from green ledger paper to online spreadsheets.
It took a little time.
It did, right? So
Yeah.
while it did in the end make everybody more efficient, how long did it take us to get there and how many hours were spent? This is probably something very similar, but it probably seems overwhelming to any CIO and maybe even CEOs as well, because this AI just affects everybody. When we moved to Excel or Lotus 123, not every employee got a license for that. This is everybody. Everybody in the company has it. And depending on the security status of everybody, they may not have administrator rights, but they probably go to many AI websites, and that creates the whole problem of shadow AI in IT again. It's probably in here somewhere, but everything is so complicated, so complex, has so many moving pieces. I think the companies can be overwhelmed with that, and they just need to pick a spot to start small, get small wins with education, and just keep building and building until you're out of this and you develop for your organization what some best practices are around AI at those various levels that we've talked about in several conversations.
I think that's such good. I'm gonna pick a headline for us then. But
yeah,
I think that's such a good intro.
These topics indicate the overwhelming.
It's one topic. It's just so overwhelming. And I think that it means that the technology leader, folks, you know what to do if you've been around the block. You've got to stand your ground, talk about issues like governance, talk about issues of ROI, and you have to they're looking for you to lead. And that would be my advice listening to you and our group. You really have to stand your ground and lead. This is just like you said, this is a technology shift, and it is about people first. And it is about ROI at the end of the day if you're going to fund stuff. So let me pick a headline. And in fact, let me do this. Let me tell you where this topic came from our end. Is we had one of our virtual peer advisory group meetings, and this topic actually came up in the meeting. I can't share exactly who talked about it or what we talked about because those are private. But the issue that came up was a lot of the productivity gains are the early adopters getting more done, but that doesn't necessarily mean that shows up on the bottom line. And that was a big part of it. So the rest of the company isn't necessarily seeing a return, but they're saying, yeah, I am getting more done. I'm doing better work. It's deeper. That's not an ROI, but it will be eventually. You will translate the ROI, assuming those people make good decisions and do good work. So that's where this discussion, then we started doing the research and Tom and I talk. All right, I want to talk about the activity trap because that's what came up in our meeting. The activity trap, only 6% of companies using AI report clear financial returns. What this means, IT leaders are walking into boardrooms filled with vanity metrics, pilots launched, tools deployed, user adopting, climbing. Yet, it's always a yet, isn't there? Research reveals that while 88% of companies are using AI, a measly 6% see hard financial value, causing severe executive friction. By the way, Google AI helps me write these things. Pretty cool that Google AI comes out with that phrase, measly. Yeah, it wants more. It's see more. Google AI is really saying, this is measly what you're giving me. I need more.
It's read the entire dictionary. It can toss out any word it wants.
Yeah, it loves it. So, anyways, all kidding around, 6%. That's a pretty big metric, right? So this is right on top of it, right?
And again, we're talking about this because the spend, this is an actual line item of spend for every company, not just probably lumped into their annual software budget. So this is huge. Everybody's jumped in so full and fast head first.
Yeah.
That some companies might need to pull back a little bit, right? And they're going to because they're looking at their budget. But 6%. So, and when we look at this, so the question would be, of those six, how do those 6% of the companies know that they're getting good financial returns? One, I've been thinking about that because it's, hey, when I was using or learning Excel, how did I know I was reach the
You
point
didn't.
where I was productive.
Yeah.
So the way I've been thinking about this would be, all right, what happens if this, I don't know, this activities
Yeah.
were pulled away, the rug was pulled out, would they become less efficient if it wasn't there? I don't know. That's part of everybody's struggle from what I could see and what I hear so far is, how do you do this? There are no tools really. You're
It's a new metric. One
it's a
way you
new
can do
metric.
it is you can measure people who are using it against people that aren't.
Yeah, that's tough too, right? In
productivity
your
gains.
control group and
Yeah,
that's
I know.
tough. Then you're pitting teams against each other. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a tough one, Alex.
I think, and we'll highlight, and he's on the call now. I think there's two topics here. There's projects and there's individual productivity. And then there's also, when we talk about things like
Right.
AI, there's process.
Yes.
So there's really three themes. There's individual productivity,
Yep.
there's projects, and then there's process. And project and process might be the same thing where you automate a process. Those are all three different layers. And when we talk about AI as an Excel type of thing, we're talking about individual productivity. And when we talk about a project, you're talking about there's a shot, if you pick the right project, you can start to demonstrate ROI. You talk about a process, then that's digital transformation. You know, so the same metrics apply to any digital transformation project, whether you use AI or something else. It's got to have real targets and goals. Yeah, we did an interview with Elaine Hepler. Do you remember Elaine? You know Elaine? Anyway, she's good. She's a digital transformation expert. And she talked about how critical it is before you start any project to understand what your tangible goals are and why you're really doing this. So I think this is digital transformation. So you hear all these things about agentic and everything else. You've got to stick to your guns and make sure those projects are there. Otherwise, those guardrails are there in the common sense project management that we all know and love. And it may be a pain in the butt to have these regular meetings and all that, but you're the master of that. You got to do it, right?
This is clearly an area where, as CIOs, we look at business and technology, right? We all know that there's no technology projects for technology's sake. But to even saying that, and if companies are in alignment on their strategic goals between the business side of the house and the technology side of the house, it doesn't mean that a company still doesn't have silos. But this is one of those areas where the business side and the technology side of the companies have to come together. And you still see it in some companies. The CIO now has also become the AI leader.
Yeah.
But does the AI leader really get to go all throughout the company and traverse over all those silos? Some places, yes. Maybe some places, no. Some places, the AI starts at the very top at the CIO, and they don't really know where that's going to go through the company. They just know that they want something to happen with AI. They want to show the board of directors something, but they don't know what. So if there ever was an area where business and technology sides of the house have to come together and figure this out, this is it.
I think you're running the money, and I think we can take this as a very positive beat. This is an opportunity. If you're a technology leader and you're watching this right now or listening to this, you should be, if you haven't started your internal AI console, your internal committee or whatever you call it, where you have all the different key business leaders involved or their representatives involved, now is the time to do it. And you can lead that. We have many of our members that have become from CIO or CTO to COO. This is an opportunity for you to really make a real impact on your organization beyond just managing the IT infrastructure and things like that.
All problems are opportunities in disguise. The CIO just needs to find them.
Yeah, this is a big one. Now's the time. Somebody in your organization is going to do it.
Absolutely.
Somebody in your organization is going to do it whether you do it or not. All right, let's get back to the last four headlines here. Investors demanding rapid accountability. 53% expect positive AI ROI within 6 months. That might be just worth reading because that tells you what investors, and they're the ones pressing the board. So everybody here watching this should know what's going on behind the scenes. Job security on the line. Half of global CEOs face ouster if AI spending fails to deliver. Wow. What is that? That's going to tell you right now, the pressure's on, everybody. Modernizing the foundation, legacy technology and data debt playing for stalled enterprise value. That makes sense. You got this old ERP system that has all the procedures on it, which half the people watching it, and the other half are on the PCs. You got a job ahead. So the self-funding AI playbook, I like that one. CIO shift to reinvesting incremental productivity savings. That's interesting. Which one you want to hit?
13 and 14 kind of go together.
Yeah.
That actually seems high to me in terms of the amount of accountability.
Yeah, 53%. Yeah. Seems
Yeah,
high.
there should be accountability. And it probably just relates to, in my mind, the amount of dollars that companies are spending on AI unchecked.
That's got to be it. Just start checking.
If the CEO and the CIO, the business and technology sides of the house come together and have a plan, yeah, I think this. I don't know if how these articles have been qualified to the point like that, but this might be for investments that have been made that are going unchecked right now. The spigot is on full. There's going to be accountability, and heads apparently will roll.
Yeah.
But again, I think that illustrates the big picture here. Business and technology sides of the house have to come together.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. We don't know if that 53, it's an interesting headline that was from TNO Vision, CEO and Investor Outlook Survey, an organization that puts out these reports, and they have investors. But the other one,
let me add that 16, the self-funding AI playbook.
Yeah.
That reminds me of, like I mentioned, every company probably does still have some silos. The nice thing about being CIO in an information and technology services division, you really have a license to go throughout the entire company.
Yeah.
And make your own cross-divisional teams as well. I've done that on several instances. When managers, CIOs, you can't always count on the fact that when you're talking to a managing director of a business unit, that what you tell them is going to be funneled down to the levels within their business unit. So I would always make cross-functional teams and pull somebody from every business unit. So one, it would give me a direct mouthpiece into each business unit. And then hopefully then they would talk to other people in their business unit. But as a CIO, I can control the content that I feed to that group and start building upon it. And some type of cross-divisional AI team seems right.
That seems like a great idea.
One
like a SWAT team, an AI SWAT team.
And certainly one for the personal productivity for employees. That's fair too.
Yeah.
But also one from the supervisors and managers who are looking at business processes. That sounds like a whole nother group. And there'd be a third, just like we said, there's these three channels of AI for those that are buying software and building software.
Yep.
Those all seem like great cross-divisional teams to me. And it gets the CIO into every business unit, whether a company realizes it or not, because I think companies might be struggling with it.
Remember the labs? Remember the internet labs? Don't mean to interrupt you, but remember the internet labs?
Yeah.
It's like you have an opportunity now to create your AI lab.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can get the funding. And when you get gains, you can get some of that back for your own budget.
You try to put all the noise or tunnel through the noise, right? While the company still may be making noise.
Beautiful. I love that.
Chart your own course and take it.
I love that. That is great advice. Great way to end this segment, and great advice. I'm going to echo what Tom is saying. Yes, there's a lot of press here about the stress of looking for returns and things like that. It's all real, but it's also a huge opportunity for technology leaders. But you've got to take the attitude that Tom just gave you, is the noise is out there, the winds are out there. Set sail, set your target, set sail, and look for returns within the savings that you get, and go out and make something happen. Okay, I think that's it for that segment. And then we're going to go back to, I think that's it for that segment. Okay, that's it for our special report. Now, I'll edit this part out, everybody, but please stay with us. I'm not ending the show. I'm just ending the special report. Okay. All right, everybody. Okay, Tom, this has been a special report with myself, Alex Jarett, and Tom Drez, who's former CIO and CISO and CPO at Christian Brothers Services. Tom, thanks for being here today. Appreciate you.
Glad to be here. Thank
And
you.
the topic has been the enterprise IT spend crisis, balancing shadow AI token spend with hard ROI gains. All right. We're going to shift to industry news and we're going to close it out. We got to get through this quick. We got 7 minutes. But before we do a quick response, we got a question. It's from Tim Walter. Hey, Tim, how you doing? AI tools now have many disclaimers on the credibility of their information. Is open source as reliable as the pay services? I don't have an answer to that. We'll let our industry guest expert, Tom, give us some insights on that.
Yeah. Hi, Tim. Thanks for the question. As far as you're basically talking about suitability to task, right? So that's something you just have to have your teams or a cross-functional team test out a few things to see if they're suitable to task. Did I get the question right? Was there another part to that, Alex?
That was it. That was all you had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For suitability to task. Oh, like I said earlier, open source, I didn't always trust it, but suitability to task then is different than what we were saying earlier, where you definitely have to read the SOC reports or ISO reports or whatever for the compliance part of it. But for suitability to task, I would say looking at open source is just like testing it against anything else. Like in the old days when we used to look for a word processor, right? You test them all out and see.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tom, for that. All right. So we got to blow through this segment. It's called Industry News Headlines. We only got about 7 minutes here. So I'm going to read them real quick. We'll pick one, do it quick, and then I got a preview also, and then we'll close it out. So read them real quick. Wall Street hit by heavy tech sell-off. This is probably within the last week, amid growing fears over excessive AI valuations. See, it's all tied together. We talked about that ecosystem.
Dollars.
3M and Microsoft partner to pioneer next-gen AI data center infrastructure. Google shares face downward pressure after flagship Gemini 3.5 Pro launch delayed. DeepSeek designs custom inference silicon to break reliance on NVIDIA ecosystem. Which one do you want to hit? We're going to do this one quick.
All right. To me, they're all related to reducing the cost of AI for a company, right? That's the big picture here. And let's
do number one then, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just do it. All right, what this means. The technology sector took a sharp beating this last week with the NASDAQ sliding 1.5%. Investors are increasingly worried that massive capital expenditures on AI infrastructure development may not yield expected returns, triggering a widespread reassessment of tech stocks. So if you think that we're going to have the pressure, there you go, folks. It's there. Go ahead.
Right. And that's why the tech companies are having the pressure, because the CEOs and the CIOs are having the pressure, and they're not just blindly signing agreements for unlimited tokens for all their employees anymore. And additionally, on top of that, a lot of companies may have provided their employees with multiple AI tools, throwing mud at everything to see what sticks. Maybe it'll be more thought out on which tools employees should have, and maybe employees at what level, and their suitability to task, what they need to get done. But I think this isn't going to go away. And we kind of touched on this at the top of the hour as well. These companies that only sell, and they have pressure here. They've got to go public now, pull the money out of the market so they can invest and figure out how to come up with additional revenue streams as well. So this is a growing pain. Here we are 2.5 years later, a nice growing pain. And who knows where we'll be in another 2.5 years.
Yeah. All right, let's blow through the last part real quick. I don't have time to show you this preview. Show it to you all last week, 2 weeks ago. Josh Rose, I just want to show you, it's another briefing that's online. How Xaggerate.ai turns unstructured business data into productive AI workflows. Really cool. Tom, this tool that they have takes all the unstructured information, emails, notes, things like that, and it's able to find them, assemble them. Looks really good for a lot of applications. And be sure and watch that. I'll try and highlight that next time. Microsoft, I'm going to read these real quick. We'll just pick the topic and we'll go. Microsoft trims 4,800. Then I got to close it out. Microsoft trims 4,800 jobs as Xbox margin crisis and corporate realignment to deepen. Federal Reserve launches dedicated task force on AI productivity and microeconomic job impact. That'll be interesting. Tech sell-off spins to Asia. Nikkei 225 drops. More of the same, 5.5% as memory chip makers face heavy plunge. Netflix stock under pressure following next quarter guidance miss as earnings seasons begins. Last comment for the show.
What's that? So Federal Reserve, that seems like an interesting one. What does
Yeah,
that
it
mean?
does. Let's read that. So Federal Reserve, what this means, macroeconomic policymakers are stepping directly into the tech landscape. Oh, that's always good. The Fed's new task force, featuring top outgoing tech executives, signals that government is closely tracking how AI efficiencies are impacting employment data and broad corporate productivity.
Yeah.
That's all I got on that one.
I am not
Oh,
quite sure.
I'm not sure you want to put anything down on that one.
No, well,
Go
it's a
ahead.
tough one. I guess the big picture here is how much is the government going to get involved?
Yeah.
We've already seen them experiment with withholding models
Remember,
from
it's the Federal
our
Reserve.
I
That's
know.
not technically the government, is it?
No, that's
Technically.
true. Well,
Yeah.
technically it is the government.
But you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the takeaway here is we're we're not done hearing from any level of our government yet as it relates to AI. They
Yeah.
haven't figured it out yet either.
Yeah. We see some things happening at every level. We didn't
Yeah.
report about the White House today. That's okay. But
Hmm.
they're doing some stuff. Now we got the Federal Reserve getting involved. We got some pockets
Yeah.
of state and local. I would say to be continued. That's my comment
Yeah.
on this one.
Definitely. Everything's
Yeah.
bubbled up from the CIOs to the CEOs to the investors now to the White House.
We've got a great presentation. If you haven't seen it from Tim Walter, he's on the show today. Great
Yep.
job,
Yep.
Tim. He has been so gracious by showing us so many different presentations. He had this very successful project at Edward Don, one of the
Great
ones that
project.
did achieve a lot of ROI. Congrats, Tim, and your team.
Hmm.
And he put it down all on a video, which eventually will get into the book. The lessons learned from a successful AI project at Edward Don and Company. He tells exactly what the lessons learned. Everybody here should watch that. It's right on our site. Watch it. And you go into his page also. Just go right into Tim Walter under advisors if you want to find it that way. There's a spotlight. I just finished Amar Lingham. This guy's an interesting guy. He was in charge of AI and data at CDW and CA. Really interesting conversation with him. And he is able to help people go all the way from strategy to roadmap to actually implementation. Bright guy, a lot of good insights there. And you've met Tori. He's got
Hmm.
a presentation called AI Project Failure Success Headlines, Key Lessons Learned. This was from another show, actually. This was not his, this was part of the show, and he was on it like you. A lot of great headlines in that one. Empowering governance to local government through a people-centered strategy. This is one we did this 2 times, one as part of his spotlight interview. Then we actually just recorded, I think we're going to announce this soon, where it's actually how you do it. So he's pretty good about that. And of course, Richard has a number of them on our site, and he's an expert in recruitment and staffing and placement. And he's talking about, this is a big headline actually. Technology talent market is shifting, not shrinking. You're hearing all these headlines about job losses and things. He's got a completely different point of view. It's not shrinking, it's shifting. That's the way to think of this. Thank you, Tom. Great to have you. Tom
Thank
Drez,
you.
our industry
Always enjoy the
analyst.
conversation.
Brought to you by myself, Alex Jarett, and Technology Executives Club. We're the digital and media network and thought leadership community for tech leaders and tech business leaders. We cover AI and advanced technology leadership and industry news. Want to be featured on our digital media network? You know, we get over 1 million views a year. If you want to share to a larger audience, get your word out there. Let me know. We'll learn about our complimentary spotlight interview experience. Schedule a discovery call on the site. Just reach out to me. If you're a technology leader and you're out there feeling like, God, I'm on my own out there, I really have no one in my company to talk to, or I'd love to go downtown to the big event, but I don't have time to do that. And you want to collaborate confidentially with your peers on a virtual basis, reach out to me. I've got an introductory offer for that too, a virtual peer advisory program. Schedule a discovery call directly on our site. If interested in either of these offers, reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email, or set up a link to meeting directly on the site. Thank you for being here today. Tom, again, thanks. Everybody remember, it's technology. Technology is about people. Everybody, thank you. Tom, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody. We're going to end this. Have a wonderful weekend. Appreciate everybody.